So when Diti heard that her children would be demons, she was very sad. But when she heard they would be killed by Krishna himself and thus liberated, and her grandson would be a great devotee, she became very happy. When they entered into the womb, darkness covered everything. It was at that time the demigods approached Brahma and he told this story. Then the two children were born. At the birth of the children, there was such inauspiciousness. There were earthquakes taking place near the mountain regions, and dark clouds covered all the luminaries, and the dark clouds were showering torrents and torrents of abominable substances like pus, and the cows were giving milk. Instead of milk, they were giving blood, and the deities in the temple were crying, and she-jackals were howling. Everything was inauspicious. Kashyapa named the first son born Hiranyaksha, and the second son born, who was the older brother, Hiranyakashipu. It is described in the Shastras, when there are twins, the first one to come out is the younger brother, because the first one to take residence in the womb is behind the second one. So the second one comes out before the first one. Scientific, technological explanation. So when they came out, their bodies were built like mountains. And they were so angry. They performed so much tapasya, they got such boons that they could not be defeated by any men or gods. Hiranyakashipu went after getting his benedictions from Brahma, and he conquered the entire universe from Swargaloka down. And Hiranyaksha was his younger brother, ready to serve him in every way. He took and he just wandered to all the abodes of the gods to conquer them on behalf of Hiranyakashipu. But he was so fearful that the gods were running and hiding. When he came to Indra's abode to declare war, no one was home. Indra deserted. He was hiding. He could not face this demon. Impossible. Similarly, he went to the other abodes of the gods. No one would fight him. Then he dove into the ocean, and for several years he was searching through the ocean till he came to the capital of the great demigod Varuna, called Vivavari. When he was there, he went to the god of the oceans, Varuna, and he fell at Varuna's feet in a very arrogant mood. He said, "Oh Lord, please grant me the benediction of fighting with you." Varuna looked at this demon, so arrogant. He said, "I am not able to fight with you. I am very old, and I am not fit to fight with you. But if you want to fight someone, you should fight the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He has already appeared within this universe in his beautiful form of Varahadev. You fight with him. And after fighting with him, you will lay on the battlefield dead as food for jackals and dogs." Hiranyaksha was very enlivened to hear that someone was worthy to fight with him. But out of his false ego, he conceived that no one could possibly defeat him, not even the Lord himself. So he was searching, and Narada Muni, that great sage who's always assisting the pastimes of the Lord, he approached Hiranyaksha, and he told him that Lord Varahadev is just now on the bottom of the Garbhodak ocean, lifting the earth with his tusks. Maitreya Muni told Vidura how once Lord Brahma was approached by Swayambhuva Manu, and the earth was on the bottom of the Garbhodak ocean. So Swayambhuva Manu was saying that the earth is the abode of so many living entities. Lord Brahma, what should we do to rescue it? So Lord Brahma, who was in the process of creation, he began to meditate. And he was thinking, because I was so involved in this creation, occupation, the earth has fallen into the Garbhodak ocean. It is in a helpless condition. Only the Supreme Personality of Godhead can give us the understanding of how it could be saved. So Lord Brahma began to meditate on the Lord. And during his meditation, a little form of a boar came out from his nose. This little boar form was hardly the size of the upper portion of a person's thumb. As it went higher into the sky, this form became bigger and bigger, until soon it was the size of a massive elephant. It became so big, Brahma and the great rishis and sages began to speculate, what is this? Who is this? How is this? They began to conjecture so many opinions. And then Lord Brahma thought, is this the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master of all living beings, Vishnu? When he said that, Lord Varahadev began to roar like a great mountain. And upon hearing this roar, everyone understood, this is Vishnu. Vishnu has appeared. And just to satisfy all the devotees, as he was flying in the sky, this great boar, he was scattering the clouds with his tail. And his beautiful lotus eyes were glancing upon them and giving them great ecstasy. As everyone was offering beautiful prayers to Lord Varahadev, he dove into the ocean with such power that the ocean appeared to be divided in half. And this was not just Atlantic Ocean or Pacific Ocean or Arabian Sea. This was the Garbhodak Ocean. Garbhodak Ocean covers half of the entire universe. And all the planets are floating on this Garbhodak Ocean. So the Lord dove deeply into this ocean, and in the mood of a boar, began to sniff with his nose, searching for the earth. On the bottom of Garbhodak Ocean, he discovered the earth planet and placed it on the beautiful tusks on either side of his nose. He began to carry the earth back to its rightful place. Jayadev Goswami, in his introduction to Gita Govinda, has sung the beautiful poem, the Das Avatar, where he describes this beautiful, beautiful form of the Lord, who was so great he was holding the earth between his tusks. One may think, how is it possible? I have gone to Vrindavan and seen hogs, and yes, they can lift up something with the earth. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead has Achintya Shakti, inconceivable potencies. What Krishna can do is beyond the limitations of our comprehension. What is it that Krishna cannot do? If you just examine your own body, what a miraculous machine it is. The greatest scientists, industrialists, technologists, and inventors can never do anything even close to the invention of one cell of your body. We may be able to make computers, but can we put two computers in the room together and turn off the lights, and then a third computer is born of the two computers? We cannot do. But the cells in our body are doing this at all times. Little cells. But these little tiny atoms and molecules and cells within our bodies, they are reproducing themselves. How is that possible? We cannot do it. We cannot fathom it. We cannot understand how it's happening. It's inconceivable. We can have our theories, but we can't really understand how and why it's happening. We can just see that it's happening. We can describe that it is happening. But what is that power that's making it happen? What scientist knows? It doesn't take such a great, great brain to just see something and say, this is what's happening. Whether you see it with your eyes or whether you see it through a microscope or see it through a telescope, you're just saying, this is what's happening. This is called discovery. Hare Krishna. However, how this body is working, that you're living with 24 hours a day, you don't know, and all the scientists and medical doctors, nobody knows the power and force of the Shakti that is making your body from the molecule up, operating as it is. Inconceivable potency. What to speak of the greater body? This little body is a concentrated form of the universe. And the universe is like a big, big body. It's actually operating exactly according to the same principles as your little body. How Krishna is doing. Inconceivable. How the sun never goes out for so many millions and millions, billions of years. How it never leaves its orbit. If that same Lord wants to appear as a boar and carry the earth within his tusks, what is difficult to believe about that? For one who has faith in the truth, for one who actually has a scientific understanding of reality beyond the senses, it is absolutely believable. Therefore, devotees have complete faith that Krishna can do anything. The miracle of God's power is all around us in this world, if we're just willing to open our hearts and our eyes to see it. The Lord who has created this incredible, miraculous manifestation around us, He can do anything. And this is just a tiny portion of His supreme existence. So when the Lord took the form of a gigantic boar and carried the earth on His tusks, devotees do not question or doubt. They simply, with great love and devotion, they bow down at the feet of the thought of Lord Varahadev and chant his glories by singing his holy name.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
The Srimad Bhagavatam, the Puranas, they are not just some sort of fables or allegorical, symbolic stories. They are factual history of God in His various pastimes with His various empowered devotees. They must be accepted as such if we want to actually develop the real spirit of devotion. As Varaha Bhagavan was carrying the earth, Hiranyaksha, very envious and angry, approached the Lord with his mighty mace and challenged him to fight. He began his first words by blaspheming the Lord. "O amphibious beast, I challenge you to battle. If you fight with me, you will be killed. Your body will be fit to be eaten by jackals." Hare Krishna. Blasphemed the Lord in so many terrible words, like shafts. As Hiranyaksha was criticizing the Lord with so many blasphemous accusations, the Lord understood that the earth is in danger, and the residents of the earth are in danger. I must first see to their protection. And he ignored Hiranyaksha and kept traveling upward in the Garbhodak ocean. Then Hiranyaksha started accusing the Lord of being a coward, running from battle. But the Lord, showing His supreme opulence of renunciation, was more concerned with compassion to others than His own prestige. So He continued until He very gently placed the earth floating on Garbhodak ocean in its nice, safe place. Then He turned to Hiranyaksha. He said, "You are speaking so many words, but a real hero does not talk, he acts. Words are cheap unless we back them with action. Now you fight with me, and I will send you to the abode of Yamaraj, and your body will be eaten by vultures and dogs. Let us fight." And they both, in the mood of Kshatriyas, were making each other very angry by their harsh words. Then they both picked up their maces and started whirling them around. They were both pounding each other with their maces. They were hitting each other so hard that the sound could be heard in all directions. And by the pastimes of the Lord, just to make this Leela very exciting, his body was bleeding, and Hiranyaksha's body was bleeding, and the smell of the blood was making both of them even more angry. At one time, Hiranyaksha hit the mace out of Varahadev's hand, and the demigods were thinking, now our Lord is finished. But the Lord just stood there with his Sudarshan chakra lighting up the sky. Hiranyaksha would not hit the Lord with his mace if the Lord did not have his mace, because even though he was a demon, he still understood the proper righteous codes of battle. And then, by the power of the Lord, Hiranyaksha's mace fell from his hand. He became so angry and humiliated by this. He picked up a flaming trident and threw it at the Lord. But by the Sudarshan chakra's power, any weapon Hiranyaksha threw would immediately be destroyed. Then Lord Brahma, leading all the demigods, approached Lord Varahadev and said, the night is about to happen. Dusk is approaching. From noon until dusk is in a very auspicious time for victory. But after that, the demons become very, very powerful. So please kill this demon now. He is causing so much distress to everyone. Hiranyaksha, in great anger, he hit the Lord, then he disappeared. Then he created a great illusion where big, big clouds came from the sky. And from the clouds, torrents and torrents of rain were falling. And then from the clouds, blood and pus and urine and stool began to pour down. And then huge mountains appeared. And from the mountains, unlimited weapons were coming out and flying at Lord Varaha. And naked demonesses were coming, running toward the Lord, screaming terrible slogans. The Rakshasas, armies of Rakshasas were attacking. Lord Varahadev simply, with his Sudarshan chakra, dispelled all this illusion. Hiranyaksha came to crush the Lord to death with his own arms. He put his arms around the Lord, and just when he was about to squeeze, he found Lord Varahadev outside of his arms. Then with his fists, he began to pound on the body of the Lord with all of his might. Lord Varahadev took the hoof of his left hand and very gently touched behind the ear of Hiranyaksha. And just by that effortless touch, Hiranyaksha fell down like a banana tree struck by a whirlwind. He fell to the ground, his eyes were bulging, his limbs became disjointed. And as he was falling, Lord Varahadev, just to make sure all the demigods knew he was finished, as a formality, since he was a boar, he stuck him with his tusk. And Hiranyaksha fell, and his body lied there because his soul had left him. Usually when one dies, the luster of one's body goes away immediately because the soul is the source of luster. Because the soul gives light to the body, life to the body. But Hiranyaksha, after he was killed by Lord Varahadev, his body became effulgent because he was touched by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Shri Varahadev Bhagavan Ki.
You were listening to Radhanath Swami on thesacredconnect.com.